pizza! I'm styling a pizza. This is a lighter, more colorful take on your traditional pizza, and I am so excited to show you how to style it up. So the key when you are styling pizza is you want to have everything as ready to go as possible, because when you take the pizza out of the oven, you want it to be pristine, hot, and ready to go. And I have all of my ingredients laid out because I really want to be able to see every element of how I'm styling the pizza. So I want to start it out with our dough. And this is a pre-made pizza dough. I think there's no need to make your own unless you really want to. This dough works great. And I have it on a nice floured surface because a good quality pizza dough is really stretchy and it's also really sticky. And so I put a bunch of flour on our surface to make sure that it doesn't stick. And I'm gonna roll it out to the desired size. Now a tip, when you're rolling out your pizza dough, you don't wanna roll it out too much because that's gonna take a lot of the air bubbles out of it. And the air bubbles are what give it that beautiful fluffy appearance when you take the final photo. So I'm just gonna roll this out with my wooden rolling pin, and I have some extra flour on the surface so we can put it on the rolling pin as well. So we're just gonna roll this guy out. Don't be afraid to put some muscle in there. I know you see like in pizza films, pictures of beautiful Italian people throwing pizzas. They'll like spin it up in the air, and that's super cool. But for photo, actually it works better for you to roll it out so you can control more of the size of the final pizza you're making. Also, to get it more in like a round shape, which is what I'm really wanting, you just kind of continue to spin it. So you can see like where you need to add, stretch it out, where you need to make it look more round. And if one side's a little uneven, that's okay because it kind of gives you that rustic look, but I really want to create more of a round shape as opposed to like a rectangular square type pizza. So I'm gonna try not to move it this much more. So another little tip you can do is use your fingertips to kind of pull the pizza apart. And what this does is this creates nice little air pockets in your crust so that when you bake it up, again, it's gonna retain that fluffy appearance and it's not gonna look like just flat. So once you have your pizza shaped in a nice circular fashion, you're going to transfer it to a baking sheet. I line my baking sheet with a silpat, which is perfect for baking pizza. You could also put it on a pizza stone if you have one at home, or you could put it like on parchment paper, but I feel like this is a good size for us. And the silpat is nice because if cheese kind of falls off your pizza, it doesn't burn onto your parchment paper. Put that down, transfer this over, and then I'm gonna stretch it out again because you might have lost some of your shape when you put it onto the silpat. So there we go. That looks more circular to me. So now that I have this circular shape ready to go, I'm gonna talk about our elements of what we're gonna put on our pizza. The first is the sauce. So this sauce has actually been straining. You can strain it overnight. You can strain it for just, an hour or so. The reason why I'm straining the sauce is because, I don't know if you've ever seen pizza crust and it gets like kind of orange around the edges. That can happen for several reasons, but one of them is the pizza got a little too saucy. And so we're gonna strain this to take any extra liquid out of it so that when I put it on the crust, it's gonna stay and it's not gonna seep into the edges. All right, so we have our strained pizza sauce, and I'm just gonna put the pizza sauce right here in the middle, and you go from the center out. Again, you don't wanna put too much sauce on here because you don't want your crust to turn orange. So now that our pizza is beautifully sauced, we are gonna add in some color and some fun toppings. And I'm gonna start with our cheese. This cheese is a special melting cheese. You can use all natural mozzarella if you like. If you go the mozzarella route, you wanna go the part skim mozzarella that melts and is a lot stretchier for photo than the whole milk mozzarella. So buy the part skim. But I actually really like for styling the mozzarella cheese that actually has cream cheese in it. And I like when I see some of the cheese coming onto the crust. You can see there's some around the edges because that's gonna create some pretty browning on our crust. Gorgeous. Okay, so we have a nice cheese layer, and now I'm gonna add in our bell peppers. So I cut these bell peppers into long, thin strips. You see how that looks weird? You don't wanna add the full long strip. The reason why I cut it that way is so I could use scissors and kind of cut it into some different shapes to create some visual interest. And kind of tuck it down in there. You might want some, with the skin showing. You may want some that are more tucked in. And kind of keep in mind too, like, when I'm styling this, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna slice this, maybe looking for the way the slices are gonna go, the triangle shape, and keep in mind how individual slices will look as well with the vegetables on top. So I'm gonna get some more of these orange guys. cut those up. But you could do, I mean, any pretty pepper. I've seen some beautiful sweet peppers if you want to do more of like the ring shapes. The reason why I didn't do rings with this one is because we have the shape of the pepperoni. But if you wanted to say do a sausage pizza, the ring shape would look really pretty with that. Perfect. Okay, so now that we have the vegetables on there, I'm going to put in the pepperoni. And the key with the pepperoni is you don't want to obviously create a smiley face. You want to do it in a pretty manner. And again, it's the same thing with the peppers. You might want to tuck some more in. Maybe you want to tuck one under a pepper. Maybe place layer one over on top. Just be mindful of it looking natural, kind of the way that it would naturally happen on a pizza. So this is the just standard pepperoni that you would buy in a pouch at the grocery store. I like this size. The big pepperoni is beautiful, but for photo, I didn't want them to be too large so you could see the pretty peppers and see all the color on the pizza. And I like a pepperoni heavy pizza, so I'm gonna probably add a little bit more here just to give that visual cue of this is a pepperoni pizza and it's gonna be delicious. So now that we have all of that done, I'm gonna add a little bit more cheese on top. You don't wanna cover up all the pepperoni, but I wanna cover up a little bit of vegetables because I want those pepperonis to pop through. And then we're gonna add some Parmesan on the rim of the crust to add some pretty golden browning. Just a light layer. You don't wanna add too much because I don't want it to look like a cheese crust pizza. Just to add a little color. And then some crushed red pepper. Just a little light sprinkle. All right, so this is ready to go, and we're gonna put this in the oven for about 20 minutes, but you really wanna watch it because it's a visual thing. If the crust is getting too brown, go ahead and take it out, but 20 minutes should be about right for this pizza. All right, y'all, so we have our hot pizza that I've taken out of the oven. It's on this beautiful wooden pizza board. You can see the crust is nice and puffy. It looks gorgeous. We've got the browning of the cheese to create that interesting dimension around the edge. I love it on this striking white marble, the white surface. And then I have this really pretty green linen that I'm gonna gently tie around the edge of the pizza board to kind of look like we just tucked it on there. Really nice. And then I'm gonna work on our toppings. So because I want this pizza to be as colorful as possible, I have a couple of color touches I'm gonna add. The first is I'm gonna add some fresh basil. This is so pretty. And I picked out the tops of the basil, as you can see, so you get these nice little leaves on there because the little leaves look really pretty when you leave them as a bunch on top. So I'm just gonna top this with some basil. And again, you guys, this pizza is really hot. So we wanna work as quickly as we can with the toppings and the basil because they can kind of start to wilt a little bit. And I might tear some to kind of make it look a little more natural. When you tear basil, it has a tendency to turn purple, so you just gotta work quick. Perfect, that basil looks amazing. I'm gonna add our crushed red pepper, add some color, some more texture on top. And even if some gets around kind of on the wooden board and on the surface, I think that looks really pretty. And then our final touch I'm gonna add is some freshly grated Parmesan that I did earlier, just so this would move really quickly. Got that parm, I'm gonna add some little piles, maybe around the sides. Beautiful. This looks pristine, it looks so good. And as I see the shot, I feel like I need a little more context for basil and pepper on the sides to kind of fill in the shot a little bit. So I'm gonna take these bigger basil leaves and kind of stack them up in the background. I may put some sort of on the pizza, kind of falling off the pizza stone to add some color. I love this crushed red pepper. I might put some like in a little pile on the surface. And make sure you get an overhead of the whole scene so you can see the pizza, the crushed red pepper, the basil. So you capture that when the pizza is nice and hot, and then we're gonna move into the cheese pull shot. So the way you do this is I'm gonna go ahead and cut the slice out of the pizza. So I'm gonna make this slice real quick. So we wanna completely separate the pizza slice from the crust. So this is sliced out, and then here comes the fun part. I'm going to take this extra melty cheese and I'm gonna put it in between where we cut the pizza. So right in here, make a little tunnel here, put cheese in it. Beautiful. And then I'm gonna take my heat gun, you get this at a hardware store, and I'm just gonna put this on low. And then I'm gonna melt this cheese. And this is a pro tip to use a heat gun. This is what I use on food shoots to melt the cheese. You could also try microwaving the pizza with the cheese like this if that's an option for you, but the heat gun really does do the best, most efficient job, and you can really control how melty it gets. It's getting melty. I'm gonna turn this off, and I'm just gonna simply tuck the cheese, the slice in like that. So now we have our beautiful melted cheese. We have the slice tucked in. And you can do this trick multiple times. You can keep on adding the cheese, keep on remelting it to get the perfect cheese pull. Cue that cheese footage.